Wah, 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 is all I heard. You know how adults talk in the Charlie Brown movies. Yes, my hearing went off 5 minutes ago. Now the sounds I heard began to be drowned out by a roar as the blood rushed to my ears in intense anger. I felt my knuckles turn white as I began to clench my fists on the table. Looking at my wife's face, I saw her lips moving as she tried to explain what she had just told me, but I was no longer listening to her. 15 minutes earlier, I just walked in the door after returning home from work on Friday night. I was looking forward to having a beer and winding down so I could start enjoying the weekend with my wife. Well, you know what they say about best laid plans. I actually got the beer. My wife put it on the kitchen table when I walked in the door. As for the rest of my plan, not so much. Then there were 5 words. Honey, we need to talk. Okay, before I get to the meat of this story, I should probably tell you a little about myself and my wife. My name is Robert Bader. I'm 28 years old and have a good job at an IT consulting firm. I have a master's degree in computer science. I'm 5'11", tall, weigh about 205 pounds, have brown hair and eyes, and I keep in shape with daily visits to the gym and a 5-mile morning run. I was told that I have a beautiful face. My wife's name is Idella, but usually she is called Aita. She's 2 years younger than me, 5'5", curvy but fit. She goes to the gym about 3 times a week. She has blonde hair just below her shoulders, blue eyes, toned legs, and an ass to die for, a small waist, and 34D breasts. Yes, the face is also very beautiful. We met at a party in college. At that time, her name was Idella Masters. She was finishing her bachelor's degree in accounting while I was already a year into my master's degree. We hit it off from the start and dated until the end of college. We got married about a year after graduating from high school. I should mention that sometimes she forgot to fully consider all the consequences of some of her decisions. This was especially true if there was something she truly believed in and wanted. Case in point, she had something of a feminist in her, so she didn't want to just blindly take my name when we got married. She insisted that she wanted to write one of those ridiculous hyphenated last names. You know, where it's her maiden name and then a hyphen before her husband's last name. Something like Scott Pruitt or Rodham Clinton. You get the idea. Whenever I tried to discuss this with her and tell her what an extremely bad idea it was, she would get defensive and accuse me of being misogynistic and trying to take away her identity. She remembered other women who had done this and were very successful. She talked about several of her friends who did this without any problems. She ranted endlessly about how the patriarchy forces women to take their husbands' last names in order to subjugate women. I tried to explain that this is not the case here. I had no intention of trying to subdue her. Finally, I just sat her down, hyphenated her last name, and made her read it 5 times. Then, if she still wanted to use that name, I wouldn't mind anymore. Ida Masters Bader. The idea was suddenly dropped, and she changed her maiden name to my last name. I told you she's a natural blonde, didn't I? So we've been married for almost 5 years. We didn't have children yet, but we started working on it. We talked about getting her pregnant on our 5th anniversary, which was just over 2 months away. She has problems with the pill, so we always used condoms when we had sex. Our plan was that on the night of our 5th anniversary, we would go without condoms for the first time. This will be a special night for us. So this takes us back to the beginning of this sad story. With a beer in my hand, sitting across the table from my wife, I heard 5 terrible words and my rage grew. I just want to try something a little different for a month or so before we have kids. I need to get rid of all this before I settle down and become a mother. Ida tried to explain. So let's see if I understood everything correctly. Do you want to date other guys while married to me? Do you want to party and sleep with other guys, completely breaking your vows to leave everyone else? And you want me to be okay with that? Are you crazy? I almost shouted the last phrase. Look, it's only for a month or so. I need to sow the last of the oats before we can have our special 5th anniversary party as planned. Once this little outbreak is over, I can settle down and be a loving, faithful wife for the rest of my life. Not just no, but hell no. Robert, I have already made my decision. This is what I need to do. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just letting you know in advance so I don't cheat on you. Seriously? How can I have sex with other guys without cheating on me? It's not treason if you know about it, and it's open. It's only cheating if I try to hide it and run behind your back. This is not the case here. That's why I'm telling you this in advance, before it happens. Besides, it won't be every night. It will probably only be Friday or Saturday night, and I'll be heading home in the morning. We'll still make love a few nights a week, and I'll make sure to clean up before I get home from our dates. You'll never have to worry about sloppy seconds. Oh, I'm sure I'll never have to worry about sloppy seconds because I won't touch you after you go on one of your first dates. Where did all this nonsense you spew come from? What in the name of all that is wholly planted this idiotic idea in your head? I was pretty sure I knew where it came from, but I thought I'd ask anyway. Well, I talked to Susie about our plan to start a family. Susie! Certainly. You mean your 4-time divorced colleague, Susie? The same Susie who cheated on all 4 of her ex-husbands? Do you seriously take marriage advice from her? Well, she said I really needed to get everything out of my head before we started a family. That way, I could really relax and be a great mom and faithful wife without regretting anything I may have missed out on. She also suggested that this experience with other guys would help in our own lovemaking by teaching me some new ways to please you. This can open the door to an even better sex life. She was delighted. Well, it was pretty obvious that she was going to go through with it, no matter what I said. I tried several more arguments, but was shot down each time. Okay, it's time to bring out the big guns. It's obvious that you're going to go through with this, regardless of my wishes. So, when are you planning your first date? I don't actually have a date yet, but Susie and I are planning to go to a club tomorrow night. Okay, but I warn you that if you try to bring anyone here, it will end very badly. Oh, I would never disrespect you like that. No, we'll either go to his house, his hotel room, or maybe go back to Susie's. Fine. I am in no way giving such permission, and I will not agree to any of it. But it is clear that my opinion has nothing to do with your decision. In that case, I won't touch you while this is happening. Also, keep in mind that this could have drastic consequences for our relationship. There may not be a place for you here when you decide to return. What do you mean, when I decide to return? I told you I'm not going anywhere. It's only 1 or 2 nights a week. The rest of the time, we will be together. No, I won't allow this. If you're adamant about it, you'll leave to do it. I don't care where you go, but you won't live here while you're dating and fornicating with other guys. Do not be silly. This is my home, too. You can't just kick me out. Can. Don't you remember that this house actually belongs to my parents? They gave it to me just before we got married. This is my home. Maybe you should move in with Susie. It was cold the rest of the night, and the next day, she tried to get me to sleep in the other bedroom, but I insisted that the bed was as much mine as it was hers, and I was going to sleep there. If she doesn't want to sleep in the same bed with me, she can sleep somewhere else. We pretty much avoided each other the next day. Around 8 o'clock, Aita came downstairs in her LBD stockings and garter belt. No, I couldn't see the garter belt or the top of the stockings, but I recognized that look. And 4-inch heels. Her hair was styled, and she was wearing night on the town, makeup and jewelry. The only thing she had in her hands was a small clutch. Have you forgotten anything? No. I have my phone, wallet, and ID. I think that's all I need. What about suitcases, clothes, cosmetics, toiletries, and so on? I'm only leaving for the night. Why do I need all this? I'll be back before morning. Not really. As soon as you walk out the door, I'll change the locks. I told you that you won't live here as long as you insist on this nonsense. Do not be silly. I know you love me enough to let me do this. Well, obviously you don't love me enough not to do that. If you walk out this door, you won't come back in again. Just as she was about to answer, a car horn sounded from the driveway. This is Susie. I have to go, but we'll talk when I get home. What she didn't know was that I had installed several hidden apps on her phone while she was getting ready in the bathroom. Now I could track her location, read her text messages, record her phone conversations. Hell, I could even activate her microphone and camera without her knowledge. In fact, I activated her microphone as soon as she left the house. He recorded her conversation with Susie while they were driving. I'll listen to it later. Right now I have to work. First order to replace door locks with new ones I purchased earlier in the day. Then he took her car out of the garage, reprogrammed the garage door opener, and removed the remote control. Third, I packed all her clothes, toiletries, and cosmetics in boxes that I bought in advance. 2 hours later, I loaded all her things into the car. Now it's time to listen to her conversation with Susie. God, he's mad. Well, I warned you about this. He will be angry for a week or so, but it will pass. Just make sure you really blow his mind over the next few days. Once he sees how much better the sex is, he will begin to accept the situation. Guys are like dogs. You can get away with anything if you reward them properly. Correct use of women's tricks will correct their attitude towards what you want. Yeah, I just hope this guy you're setting me up with doesn't leave me too upset to have the energy to have good sex with Rob tomorrow night. Just make sure you take a good soak in the bath tomorrow. This should relieve any pain. Now take off your panties and leave them in the car. You won't need them today. To take them off, you first had to put them on. Oh, you little slut. They both laughed. I guess I should describe Susie. She is a 5'4" sexy dynamo. She's got long, fiery red hair all the way down to her ass, emerald green eyes, an angelic face, 38 DD breasts, an ass sculpted by about 1,000,000 thrusts, a tiny waist, and the morals of a street cat drawn to ecstasy. All 4 of her marriages ended in divorce due to her infidelity. This was impressive because she was only 26 years old. Seriously, who gets divorced 4 times before turning 30? No, I never clicked on it. But it wasn't for lack of opportunity. She made it more than clear that I would be welcome in her bed anytime I wanted. I should also mention that this wasn't the first time she tried to talk Aita into doing something phenomenally stupid. Usually these tended to be attempts to involve us in some sort of threesome or more with her. So far, I have managed to avoid this. I listened a little more until they arrived at the club. Trying to listen to anything in a club was a hopeless endeavor. There was simply too much noise to hear any conversations. Instead, I started doing online banking by monitoring her GPS location. I withdrew half the money from the checking account, paid off and canceled our joint credit cards, transferred all of our savings to an offshore account. I opened a couple of years ago and transferred about 70% of our investments to a separate account in my name only. I noticed that the GPS on Ida's phone was moving, so I opened the microphone on it again. Of course, Aita spoke, and I heard an unfamiliar male voice talking to her. Oh, my phone is ringing. Rustling. Hi, Susie. How are you? Hello, girl. Did you leave with that guy you danced with? Yes. We're going back to your house for some alone time. I hope you don't mind us using the spare bedroom for an hour or so. No problem, baby. I'll probably be there soon with his friend. Let's have some fun. I hope. I'll need to take a shower after we're done so I can go home later. I thought so. I put some shampoo and body wash in the spare bathroom for you. Thank you. See you later. By this time, I turned on her camera to see if I could get a look at the guy she was with. I only caught a glimpse of it as she put the phone back in its place. It didn't make much of an impression on me. All I could tell was that he looked like he was about 30 years old, black hair that's thinning, and judging by his height when he sat, he was a little shorter than me. I turned everything off since they were still driving. When I saw that they had arrived at Susie's house, I turned the microphone and camera back on. I continued to listen until I heard them begin to move away from the phone. It just won't do. I needed her phone to be in the same room so I could get audio evidence of her deception. The video is unlikely to work. Crap. What's happened? This is my husband's call. And what? Don't pay any attention to it. I cannot. I'll talk briefly and get rid of him. Hi, darling. How are you? Where are you, Aita? I'm at Susie's. We'll just relax a little and then she'll take me home. I'll be back in a couple of hours. We just put on a film. Fine. I just wanted to make sure you didn't end up in a bad situation. I'm fine. Stop worrying. See you in a couple of hours. Fine. Goodbye. She must have had too much to drink because she didn't even notice that I didn't use any kind words or tell her I loved her when I hung up. She also didn't understand that I said goodbye at the end, By some miracle, she took the phone with her into the bedroom. I think it was because she was walking there when she was talking to me. Better yet, she placed it on the nightstand, leaning it against the lamp. The camera had a pretty good view of most of the bed. I'm pretty sure I'll never be able to use this in court. But at the time, I didn't really care. I watched enough of the video to be sure they were actually having sex, then minimized the window and continued recording. Well, if she decided to go out and have sex with other guys, I saw no reason to just sit at home and get blue balls, waiting for her to come back. You know the old saying, goose, goose, and all that crap. Fuck her shit. I'm gonna go to have fun. In a similar way. Moreover, I'm going to rub it in her face. She, naturally, did not return home. She had to stay with Susie. I spent the rest of the weekend doing projects around the house and working on an old truck. I have a 1972 GMC pickup that I bought on the cheap a few years ago. I've been working on this for a while now. I installed a built 350 engine, replaced the old 3-speed manual transmission with a Borg-Warner Super T10 4-speed manual transmission, a 12-bolt rear differential, leather bucket seats, and matte black paint. All that was left was to finish installing the steel-braided lines to connect the engine to the fuel, radiator, and vacuum fittings. Work kept me distracted throughout the week. Plus, since I stopped communicating with Ida, I was able to finish the truck and get it ready for the road. I also visited a lawyer and began preparing divorce papers. There was really no way not to give her half of everything. The divorce laws in this state must have been written by hardcore feminists. Let's face it, if you're a man, you're screwed in your divorce. Women cheat. The poor innocent husband who was faithful and did nothing wrong ends up paying the adulteress to continue her philandering lifestyle. There's not much a guy can do to protect himself. So, Friday evening came. My truck was cleaned and ready for the evening. After taking a shower, shaving, putting on a little cologne, I got dressed. I put on nice new Levi's jeans, a black button-down shirt, and rattlesnake leather cowboy boots. It was time to treat myself, so I went to a nice steakhouse for dinner to start my evening. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the T-bone, baked potato, and vegetables were excellent, as was the salad to start. Now let's move on to the main event. Leaving the restaurant, I checked where Ida was. Indeed, it looks like he and Susie got to the club about half an hour ago. It's time to put my plan into action. I had every reason to expect that this would completely drive Ida crazy. I couldn't help but smile as I parked a couple spaces away from Ida's car. Looks like she was the designated driver today. This made my plan a little easier since I wouldn't have to worry about Susie leaving her stranded. Not that I was worried about anything myself. I was mainly concerned that it would be a little harder to get Susie to leave with me if she was driving. Having made a plan, as well as a plan B in case Susie somehow developed moral problems, I entered the club. They weren't hard to spot. "Susie, I didn't know you'd be here," I said, approaching their table with a glass in my hand. I deliberately waited until Ida got up so I could dance with some guy. "Rob, what are you doing here?" she asked nervously. "Probably the same as you," I answered. "Since Ida moved in, I thought I'd try this club and have some fun tonight. Speaking of which, would you like to dance?" I should probably let you know that Aita is here with me. And how does that stop you from dancing with me? Also, since she's not here, I can only assume she's either in the bathroom or on the dance floor by herself. Come on, you've never shied away from dancing with me before. Her worried look turned it into a grin. "Certainly, I'll be happy to dance with you." We were there for 3 fast songs before the slow number came on. I didn't give her a chance to leave. As soon as the music started, I pulled her in and held her close to me. About a song and a half passed before Ida noticed me. I almost fell to the floor laughing when her surprise turned to fear that I had caught her. She left the dance floor immediately after the song ended and returned to their table. Now I saw her looking at me with poorly concealed anger. "Oh, you poor bitch. I haven't even started to make you angry yet," I thought to myself. Susie held me tightly as we slowly danced together. As I said earlier, Susie is the bombshell. So it didn't take me long to stand to attention and salute, if you know what I mean. It didn't take her long to figure it out either. She looked at me with a wide smile and pressed herself even closer. As I turned to face Ida, I slowly lowered my hand to Susie's ass. When the song ended, I walked Susie back to their table. She invited me to join them, and of course I agreed. On our way back, we stopped and asked the waitress to refresh our drinks. Being the gentleman that I am, I asked her to put all 3 drinks on my tab. "Robert, what the hell are you doing here?" Ida hissed angrily. "What do you mean? I'm doing the same thing as you. I drink, dance, and have fun. Is this prohibited? Don't try to act innocent. You're here to ruin my evening." She spat. "Quite the opposite, Ida. I had no idea you'd be here. Do you remember? We haven't spoken since you moved. How do I know where you will be? I heard about this club from some buddies at work, and since you weren't around, I decided to check this place out and have a fun night of drinking and dancing. Are you saying that this is normal for you but not for me? Because I have to say, that's pretty hypocritical of you." With that, I turned to Susie and started chatting with her. Ida sat and seethed with anger, while I tried my best not to pay attention to her. She must have decided to make me jealous because she tried her best to dance with as many guys as possible. She also started polishing them and dancing as flirtatiously as possible. I laughed to myself as I monopolized my time with Susie. Every time I saw another guy make a move to come and ask her to dance, I would pull her onto the dance floor before they even got to the table. Pretty soon, no one tried anymore because it was obvious that we were together. After a couple of hours, I decided it was time. Ida was on the dance floor, and Susie was well prepared and accommodating. "At your home with me," I whispered, breathing into her ear. "Ida will be there soon." "Does it matter?" "I'm guessing she has her own room." I kissed the place where her neck meets her shoulder. "To hell with it," she replied. "She's driving. She'll get home herself. Let's go." I kept her tense as I drove her to her. Her dress was pulled over her head and fell to the floor as soon as the door closed. She grabbed my hand and practically dragged me into her bedroom. The sex was fantastic. Obviously, she had a lot of practice. I had just reached my peak and was discharged when I heard the front door slam. Susie was too busy to notice. Also, Susie is very loud when she has sex. Double bonus, Ida's room is next to Susie's, only separated by a thin wall. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, we passed out from fatigue. In the morning, we had sex again. Breakfast was awkward, to say the least. Obviously, we woke up Ida with our morning fuss. When we left, she was already in the kitchen. "Coffee?" Ida asked when I entered the kitchen. "Everything is fine. I will do it myself." I noticed a slight smirk on her face when she asked. I took a clean cup from the cupboard and stood next to Keurig while he filled the cup. There is no telling what would have been in the coffee she made for me. After that, there was almost no conversation between us. She and Susie talked a little, and I talked with Susie. Apparently, at the club, Ida eventually noticed that the two of us were missing and put 2 and 2 together. I think she expected me to take Susie to my house and was furious when she saw my truck in the parking lot. She ranted so much that the guy she brought home for the night jumped back into his car and drove off. Ida looked at me like a wolf during breakfast. Soon after that, I left. I can be a real asshole when I'm motivated. I was really motivated. Ida has worked with some very attractive single women. I met them several times at her company events and parties we hosted. Of course, I had their contact information. I started contacting them. Over the next few weeks, I convinced most of them to go on a date with me. Some of them were a little worried because Ida and I were still married. But as Ida talked about her adventures at work, and I assured them that we had separated, they softened. I began to hear that there was tension between Ida and Susie because of my little escapade. Tensions also soon arose between Ida and most of the other single women in the office. So, yes, I started meeting Ida's friends and colleagues. I had drinks and dinner with them. I invited them to dance. I took them to shows. At every opportunity, I made sure to show up where Ida was. This GPS tracking app and the voice and video app on her phone became a goldmine. I also heard that most of her colleagues I dated raved about their dates with me. She still went out and brought guys with her. She and Susie began to clash more. I was having a great time. I went out, had dinner, danced, and had sex. I also had fun listening to Aita rant. This is not how it was supposed to work. What do you mean? Said Susie. He was supposed to wait for me when I sowed my last wild oats and then greet me so we could start our family. He was not supposed to date or have sex with other women. Susie was also puzzled. Yes, I didn't expect it either, so what are you going to do? Well, now I had my fun, and none of the other guys could rock me like Rob. Also, our anniversary is coming up, and we have a plan to start working on having a baby on the night of our anniversary. Yes, he knows exactly how to send a girl into orbit. Susie knew what she was talking about. And why the hell did you bring him here and have my husband all night and the next morning? Hey, cool down. You know I've been lusting after him for years. What the hell was I supposed to do when he came at me like that? He turned it up to full speed and pressed all my buttons. I couldn't help it. But he's my husband. You could show your best friend some respect. Fine, I'm sorry. Look, he didn't even call me anymore. I doubt we'll ever meet again. Besides, it's not me you need to be mad at. He checked on all our single colleagues. God, I can't believe these fucking colleagues are setting me up like this. It's time to take back what's mine. So now you're going back to him? Yes. I'll call him later and tell him that I'm ready to come back and start our family. I smiled listening to this conversation. She had no idea what would happen next. It's time to begin the final part of the plan. I called my lawyer and gave her final instructions. There was just over a week left until our anniversary, and I needed to get ready for an unforgettable holiday. Aita called later that day. She wanted to go home right away, but I refused. I told her that I had other plans that I had made because I didn't know what her plans were. I also told her that I had some work to do around the house, and I wanted to surprise her when she got home. I didn't want her to see it until it was all done. This will be part of her wedding anniversary gift. I may have dropped a couple of hints that she may have mistaken for one of the bedrooms being converted into a nursery for the new baby. I never actually said that. In the end, I convinced her that she could come on our anniversary to receive her surprise. God, would she be surprised? All preparations had been made, and everything was completed. It was Saturday evening, and the anniversary party I had planned was in full swing. I had a BBQ and pool party to celebrate. Aita didn't know that I had installed the pool in the last 2 months. This was just the beginning of the surprise. All our friends and family were there, as well as a couple other guests. It was around 6 p.m. when the doorbell rang, just in time. It was at this time that I told Aita to come. Apparently, she saw a lot of cars in front of the house, so she already knew we were having a party. She was surprised as she carried her suitcases into the house. Everything is fine. The guest of honor has arrived, I announced. Rob, what's going on? I kind of thought we'd go out and have a quiet romantic dinner tonight, she said. Oh no, today is a big holiday, and I want all our families and friends to be here to celebrate with us. Oh, okay, darling. It just surprises me a little. I didn't expect anything like this. Well, just put your suitcases here. We'll take care of them later. You'll be just in time for dinner. As the guest of honor, you and I will be first in line. Aita quickly got into the swing of things and started having fun. There has been no talk of activity in the last 2 months. We ate, drank, and laughed. Dinner was finished and put away. There was a light on in the backyard. Aita was very surprised by the pool and several other changes to the house. I haven't shown her the top floor yet. She was hinting that she wanted to see what I had done because she still thought I had turned one of the bedrooms into a nursery. It's finally time to reveal the rest of the surprises. All! May I have your attention, please? I have some announcements for this special day. I shouted for everyone to calm down and listen. The stereo was turned off and everyone fell silent and moved closer to hear. Fine. Thank you all for coming today. Now, I have a couple of announcements to make. Aita, could you come here with me, please? After she stood next to me, I continued. Firstly, I want everyone to know that yesterday was my last day of work. The only person who knows about this is my former boss. He was very friendly about it because I gave him a month's notice and explained what my plans were. I am now announcing that I will be opening my own consulting company. This will allow me more freedom to spend time with my family. Ida practically beamed when I emphasized the last word. As you all know, today is Ida, and its 5th anniversary. What most of you don't know is that we plan to start our family on this day. Having said that, I want to give Ida a special anniversary gift to commemorate our relationship. With these words, I quietly took a couple of steps to the side and nodded to the red-haired woman at the end of the group. She nodded in response and moved forward. "Idella Bader, you've been served," said the woman. "What most of you don't know," I continued. 2 months ago, Ida told me that she was going to date and sleep with other men. She didn't ask if I agreed with this. She left me no choice. She just told me that she was going to do it and that there was nothing I could do about it. For the past 2 months, she had been living with her friend and taking different men to her home to have sex with them. This is something I simply will not put up with. To be fair, I also dated other women, but I started it after Ida had already broken her wedding vows. "No!" Ida screamed. "For your actions, I'm giving you a divorce, so you can go and have sex with whoever you want. Rest assured, it won't be me." So, I told Ida that I was doing some renovations on the house. That's exactly what I did. You all saw the pool I added and a few other things down below. I also repainted the master bedroom and installed a new, larger shower, as well as a jacuzzi tub in the master bath. I also ripped out the wall between the 2 smaller spare bedrooms to expand them into one large bedroom with its own bathroom. I did this for a very specific reason. As I was saying this, the same red-haired woman and a 10-year-old red-haired girl were walking towards me. I want you all to meet my lawyer, Tara O'Reilly, and her daughter, Simone. Tara is also a single mother. I met Tara 2 months ago, on the Monday after Ida went to the club and brought her first guy. Since then, we have become very close. Although we haven't officially started dating yet, we both feel like there's something between us. Simone and I get along very well, too. Once the divorce is final and she is no longer my lawyer, we plan to be together. Her rent is up soon, and Tara and Simone are moving in with me. I turned back to Ida. "So, Ida, as for what to do with your suitcases, you can take them back to your car. You won't come back here. I told you I wouldn't stand for this, but you just rushed ahead and ruined our marriage." Ida was sobbing uncontrollably. Her family screamed and screamed. Most of the friends quickly left. My family sat stunned. Tara and Simone quietly went upstairs and disappeared from view. They were prepared for this reaction and agreed when I asked them if they would be okay with it. To be honest, Tara and I didn't even kiss. True, we went out to dinner and I spent a few evenings with her and Simone at their apartment, but we agreed to put everything else on hold until my divorce was final. She divorced her husband 5 years ago because she caught him cheating. She left the house several times after that but never felt the spark. In the end, everyone finally left. I don't know where Ida went. That same day, I deleted all the spy apps I had on it. I no longer cared what she was doing. Would it have been better to handle this differently? Maybe. Maybe I shouldn't have brought Tara and especially Simone into this. Again, probably. Why did I do this? The simple answer is anger. I was angry at what Ida did. I also wanted to make sure everyone knew that Ida ruined our marriage with her selfishness. I wanted to publicly make Ida feel the pain she had caused me. She killed my love for her and made me hate her. I wanted her to feel the loss of love and the hatred it caused. Yeah, I could just serve her at work while she lived with Susie. I could just send everyone a packet with my evidence. I could have done a lot of things that would have been much more mature and much less painful for everyone. In the end, I did what I did. Ida returned to Susie. This went on for about 2 weeks before they were at each other's throats. Eventually, she got her own small apartment. I often see her in the city. Her facial expression when she sees me alternates between sadness and anger. I think it depends on her mood. We don't exchange pleasantries. I actually heard from one of her colleagues that she left the company and found a new job. The stress of me dating so many other women she had to work with became too much for her. I also see her family sometimes when Tara, Simone, and I are having dinner. Again, we don't talk, but they frown at us. We just ignore it. Speaking of Tara and Simone, Aita tried to fight the divorce, but soon realized that it was a hopeless matter. Wanting everything to end quickly, Tara allowed me to increase the pressure on Ida by continuing to meet Ida's colleagues. Ida signed the papers after she heard a glowing report about our night together with her colleague on the morning of my 4th date at work. The day the documents officially dissolving my marriage arrived, Tara and Simone moved in with me. A year later, Tara and I got married. Another year later, we met Ida, while Tara, Simone, and I were wandering around a street fair. Ida turned and ran away, sobbing when she saw Tara's 6-month pregnant belly. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.